So, I thought my coverage of Conan's upcoming living settlement system was pretty much done. I'd already done a deep dive on it, and I was ready for full launch. Seems Funcom had other ideas, because they dropped a dev blog the other day that explained the system, but also revealed a new change that has given this mechanic an enormous buff. The blog itself gives a lot more details on the living settlement system, and I think it's written especially for those who are unable to play the beta like the guys on console, or just those that don't have the disk space or time to try it out. Much of it is stuff we've already gone over in detail in my Living Settlements deep dive. Worker thralls are now in the world, they have needs, interaction points, etc. Stuff we already know. However, there are a few nuggets of information here that I wasn't able to independently confirm before, so let's go over them. Firstly, the namesake of this video, the massive buff that Living Settlements just got. For some extra detail, worker thralls currently have a 50 meter wander radius, which is about 19 tiles. That was the value initially communicated in the dev stream, and that is also the radius from which their bonus can affect any bench, meaning as long as they're within 50 meters of a bench, you'll be able to use a thrall's bonus on it. That is also the radius they will wander within, be that to a workstation, a bed, so on and so forth. 19 tiles doesn't sound like a lot, but because it's a radius, it's pretty large. It felt fairly good to me, but I suppose if you have a really large base, I could see it being an issue. I'm also fairly sure the radius moves with the thrall, so it's possible that you could have run into a situation if you have a large base where a blacksmith wanders to the far edge and therefore is out of range at the blacksmith bench, and the only real way to get his bonus is just to wait for him to come back. Well, not anymore. This was the old radius we were just talking about. 50 meters, it's about 19 foundations. The radius has actually now been increased to 140 meters, which is about 54 foundations. That is absolutely huge, and unless your base is literally enormous, your thralls will probably never be out of range of a bench, so that blacksmith can be right next to the workbench or all the way on the other side of the base, and you should still be able to use his bonus with ease. I personally didn't run into any radius issues, but of course I only tried it in a couple of base configurations. There will doubtless be some people whose bases just happen to have some blind spots where thralls can't reach and extend their bonus to. Well, with this change, not anymore. It's slightly unclear in the blog if this also affects the wandering, or if it's just the interaction with benches, or if they're the same thing. If it does affect wandering, that could limit the potential of cutting areas off from thralls, or at least it will until the developers add in a way to lock doors or exclude thralls from certain placeables in the future. However, it seems the primary way to corral your thralls in the Age of Heroes Chapter 1 will be through filling their needs in stations close to them, so assuming that works as intended, little might actually change in practice. This buff doesn't appear to have been pushed to the beta client yet. I'm unsure if it will. Hopefully it does, because I'd like to test it, but also hopefully there won't be any major issues created by what I would imagine is hopefully just a simple number change on the radius. Additionally, there are two more points of note in the blog post. Firstly, we have an objective definition of thrall needs and how they are met. Hunger is fulfilled at a campfire, chair or communal bench, anywhere thralls can sit down and eat. Rest sounds like it's also fulfilled anywhere that thralls can sit down. The example given is a cosy spot by the fire, but I would assume that like hunger it can be fulfilled in any seat. Sleeping is of course fulfilled at beds, though bedrolls will not work, and the final need is work, which is met at the relevant workstations. When I was doing my deep dive, I was a bit uncertain if there actually was a rest need that wasn't sleeping, but seeing as it seems that thralls can fulfill hunger and possibly rest at the same time, that might be why I was unable to confirm that initially, but those are the four needs. Lastly, there's some definition on exactly how worker thralls will react to combat. If your base comes under attack, workers will have an instinct to either flee or join the fight. Their instincts should match their profession, but you won't know who's willing to die for your clan until they are tested, so it seems there's some minor variances there. As for instincts matching professions, that's a little nebulous. I personally interpret that as thralls like blacksmiths and smelters, those who work in making armour and weapons, being more willing to fight than a chef or an alchemist, whose professions are less entwined with battle. And with that, that is about all the useful new information from this blog. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to read it anyway. It is quite interesting, but most of it is stuff we already know if you've been around for the other content. There's no solid release date yet for the Age of Heroes. The blog closes off saying release is coming in October, though I would imagine we'll likely hear a release date at some point soon, unless they're planning to release in late October. Hopefully not too long to go though. Thank you for watching, and of course, a massive thanks to our wonderful, esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. If you want to get videos early, consider joining all those lovely folks over on Patreon, link in the description. Again, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.